Happy Monday, week 10. It really is the final countdown. I was doing my morning pages this morning and talking about how, one, I haven't done my reflection, which is odd for me. Normally I'm very good about doing it on Sunday. So I need to do that. And then part two is that, like, I did one task last week and I didn't even really complete it. So I feel like as I'm entering week 10, I'm realizing how many of the tasks I haven't done and, how I don't feel as though necessarily I'm creatively unblocked, per se, but I feel like I'm getting there. I had a really, really great day yesterday getting work done, and like doing some like creative work and really enjoying it and just knocking it out like one after the other. And then, while I was like wrapping up my work, I was like, I would love some chocolate chip pancakes for dinner. Doesn't that sound like a delight? So I made chocolate chip pancakes, and while I was making those, this is a very if you give a mouse a cookie sort of vibe. While I was making those, I looked over at my bread flour. There was not a lot left, and it said it expired, or like the best by date was 7/15. So I was like, let me make some bread before the bread, Again, flour is something that like I don't feel strongly about. And I even like read the bag of one of the other flours and it says better by. It's not even a best by date, it's better by. Because I'm sure that like that is when it's the freshest, but like also if I used it a week after the expiry date, I'm sure the dry good would be fine. It's in an airtight container. Neither here nor there. Me being the dummy I am, why did we name them teaspoons and tablespoons? Those are too close and the abbreviations are too close. I added tablespoons of yeast instead of teaspoons of yeast to my bread. So it's currently and I was like Googling on Reddit, and some people are like, I tried to use it and sometimes it's fine, or like some people are like, throw that away. It's not worth it. So I'm going to try it, but also I'm ready to make another loaf if this one does not quite taste good after all is said and done. I cold proofed it, which I never do, because people said that might help. I also added a lot more flour and water to it to try to like help the ratio a little bit, but I didn't double it. Like I doubled or quadruple it, whatever like a teaspoon to a tablespoon is. I did not quite do as much. Right? So it's okay. But it's Monday morning. It's supposed to be a rainy day. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to go do my reflections and read week 10 while my bread bakes in the oven. And then when my bread comes out, I might go for a walk. It's supposed to be a really rainy day. It's not supposed to rain until this afternoon, but it's cloudy. It looks like it poured overnight. So who knows? Maybe we'll go trounce about the puddles. But for now, we are going to get started on week 10. Here's the bread. It just came out of the oven. She's literally crackling. She's so beautiful. Like, beautiful bread. When I first took it out, it felt very dense. But I feel like, who knows? We'll see what it looks like when I open it up. Maybe I didn't mess it up too bad. Who knows? She's cooked through. I did temper because I was worried. But she read at 160, so I think that's hot enough for bread, The realist talk, I got so distracted. Obviously, like, the bread happened. I also started to feel hungry, so I made some breakfast. And then I remembered we needed to get an email out for a client today. And all I was waiting for was Brad to proof it. So I was like, hey, can you just proof this really quickly? So he did that. And then the email got out. And then, but like, I had to take my phone off of focus mode to tag a couple people in posts that went out this morning. So I then started scrolling. But don't you worry, my phone is back in focus mode. We're going to read week 10. I'm going to make some more bread tonight, maybe. Actually, what I was thinking about, in the Betty Crocker cookbook, there is like some kind of Betty Crocker version of curry. And I don't think I'm going to use her curry recipe. I don't think I'm going to make it how I normally make it, which is either way I'm cheating. I'm using either curry cubes or I'm using pre-made jar curry, and I roast my vegetables first and then I put them in the curry. So I think I'm going to do that. But in the Betty Crocker cookbook, it's basically dumplings that you then steam in the curry as it cooks, and it's like a cornmeal Bisquick dumpling. So instead of making another loaf of bread, maybe instead I will make dumplings and curry. It's so cold out, might as well take advantage of it and eat a hearty meal. But I do need to pick up a couple things from the grocery store in order to make that happen, because I don't have any potatoes, and I really like potatoes in my curry. I don't even know if it's actually curry. Like, what really is a curry? It's a tomato-based spiced sauce, but it's not like a red sauce. I've lost the plot. Okay, week 10, we're gonna read. I do fear this chapter is indeed calling me out. Right, so in creative recovery, it is far easier to get people to do the extra work of morning pages than it is to get them to do the assigned play of an artist date. I'm great with morning pages. We've talked about over and over how I am struggling to do the artist date. Then there's like a workaholic quiz in here, and it says, I set out to do one job and often start on 3 more at the same time. As I just told you, that I went to go like finish the bread, and again, this is not work related, but I went to go like get the bread in the oven, and then I was like, oh, I need to go write the email, and then like I wrote the email, and then I remembered that I needed to tag some people in post, and then I remembered that I needed to go like accept some like, what I'm saying? Like, there was just like, oh, and then this thing, and then this thing, and then all of a sudden, like, now because I'm on Instagram tagging people, I'm also like scrolling on Instagram. So I don't know if this was like a question about focus, right? Like, I guess it's up to your interpretation, but it definitely like felt that way. And yeah, like the bread wasn't work and the scrolling wasn't work, but in the middle it was like, oh, I need to get this email out, and I need to tag here, here, and here, and like do these things, which is work, and right, like, and they're all things, well, this is also like kind of like the must-dos, right, is like we keep telling ourselves like, I have to do this, and like the truth of the matter is I do have to do this, but also this is such a weird conundrum. I'm only halfway through the chapter, so we'll see if there's an answer here, right? Like, there are things I have to do. Yes. Like, again, I think I said this last week or 2 weeks ago. Like, there are things that I'm contractually obligated to do. But how do I balance it all? I don't know. And how do I not use it as a creative block? That I really don't know. And we're 10 weeks in. Let's read some highlighted quotes for this week. Work is the block of choice. Must-dos and multiple projects are drawn to them like flies to a soda can in the sun. If people are too busy to write morning pages and too busy to take an artist date, they're probably too busy to hear the voice of authentic creative urges. In creative recovery, it is far easier to get people to do the extra work of morning pages than it is to get them to do the assigned play of an artist date. That one was speaking directly to me, I fear. She also talks about Cinderella complex. We're always dreaming of the ball, but always experiencing the ball and chain. This next part, again, right? It's funny because at the end of our week, it's like, have you experienced any synchronicities? And I'm always like, I don't think so. Or like, I've seen other people experience them, so I kind of like talk about those. But sometimes this book be feeling like it's changing as I'm reading it, kind of thing, to match my language. But I remember I think the first time I ever said this out loud to someone was at a networking event. That was the day before we left for my sister's bachelorette. So we're talking about 2021. And I said, why does work feel like a treadmill, right? Like you're running, and you're not getting anywhere. And in this book, the quote this week that I highlighted is, there is a treadmill quality to workaholism. Workaholism. I don't know if I'm saying that word right. It's really bugging me. But there is a treadmill quality to being addicted to work. And then there's a task here to do like a time tracker. So I'm going to try to do that this week, or at least try to do it today. Or like if I could pick a couple days where I could do it. I think sometimes, again, right, like we bite off more than we can chew. We try to overcommit, and that like sets us up for failure, right? So maybe I'm not going to take a week to do my time tracking, but maybe I'll pick a couple days and do the best that I can to time track and keep it close to me so that all I have to do is like jot it down and see where my time goes. And then it wants me to place a sign somewhere that says, and again, I cannot pronounce this word, workaholism. Alcoholism? Workaholism. Workaholism is a block, not a building block. It says to write that somewhere and place it somewhere you will see it. And then she talks about fame and how am I doing syndrome. This question is not, is the work going well? This question is, how does it look to them? And I'm not somebody that is really chasing fame, right? Like, obviously, I think in the world of social media, we know how good it feels to get likes and views and whatever, right? Like, there is a little bit of like a dopamine hit. Brad and I have talked about this before also, is that an unexpected benefit of doing We See and being who we are in the community is being like known, right? Like Brad has said before, he's like, I kind of like when we go to like chamber events and people know who we are, or we go out to the community events and people know who we are. It's also really funny, a thing that I have noticed happen. When we first started We See, I was 25 turning 26 and I looked very young. I think I still look pretty young, and I have been confirmed in that belief as when we get to places, people are expecting more mature folks to arrive, right? A lot of our work we get via email or via phone calls, and then when they see us in the flesh, they're like, oh wait, ooh, you? I mean, I also get, our email is Sam and Brad, right? Like, that's how we list everything. Sam is obviously a pretty gender neutral name. I think I've talked about this in the vlogs before, but like kind of on purpose, right? A lot of times people think that they're talking to two men who have gone into business together, or, which is a weird way to like, I don't think men would like put their names together. But also I think in our email, Brad's name comes first. So a lot of times they just assume that they're talking to Brad, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. However, we went to an event recently with a team who had never met us, and they're like, oh, and we had said, you know, can we bring our intern with us? And they were like, yeah, sure. And so they thought that I was the intern. So it's very funny because we almost have like our business is known in a way, and then we are known in our own networking groups or in our own communities, and it's definitely like such an enjoyable thing. But I think you need to be careful that it's not just like fame of it all, right? Like, it's not just being known. It is doing good work and having good partnerships and being good community members for everything. I really lost the plot here because originally this was talking about fame, and we've talked about like we like being well known, but also I'm not somebody that's necessarily chasing like international fame or, you know, even national fame or even local fame. But I am a little bit, right? Like, when we talk about like why do we like doing We See, like being known in our community is a factor of it. And Julia is saying that like you need to take that out. You need to not make that a goal. You need to not make that like an important part of your creative journey, because it can be detrimental, right? Like, because if you fall out of favor, all of a sudden your self-worth tanks. But if your worth came from your own coddling and niceness of yourself and not from others, you would be more fulfilled, and you would focus on creating good work and not just creating work that's going to get you the most amount of eyeballs or the most notoriety or whatever that looks like. So I thought that was very interesting. There's also a section about competition, and I've talked about competition, I think, a lot, especially recently. But an interesting piece is all work is influenced by other work. All people are influenced by other people. No man is an island, and no piece of art is a continent unto itself. And I think that is so beautiful, because I think people are like, oh yes, it's so original, so whatever. And then this also comes back to like, I feel like part of this like Olivia Rodrigo conversation is people are always like accusing her of copying people. Listen, I'm not really a pop star kind of gal, right? Like, I've never been somebody who's necessarily like the mainstream, so I don't really know how to engage, except for Harry Potter, I guess, whatever. That sounds so hipster. We're gonna cut that out. Some of like the Olivia Rodrigo discourse, right, about how like she copies everyone, blah, blah, blah. And again, I think that she is just a very talented artist who draws inspiration from everywhere and then writes the most devastatingly truthful lyrics in such a beautiful way, right? Like, again, nobody is an island, right? You're not a continent. Your work is not a continent that's never been discovered, right? I'm not saying people don't have original ideas, but every piece of us is made up from our collected experiences and from others and from the artwork we take in. I think that's really, I wonder, I'd be very interested to know. Also, I've said his name wrong every single time in these vlogs. But I wonder if the artist of Steal Like an Artist has done The Artist Way, right? Whether or not he agrees with it. There's a lot of parallels that I'm noticing, and I think it's just because they're universal truths. But again, maybe he was inspired by this book, or maybe not. Maybe he was inspired by something else. But a lot of what he talks about is how we are always getting inspiration from everywhere, and what is original and what is new is yourself and how you interpret those things and your collection of experiences. Nobody's going to have the same exact experiences as you. Even if they've lived the same exact life that you have, their own interpretation of events is going to differ, more than likely. Let's do some tasks, shall we? So I'm officially out of space in this notebook. We are on the back page. I have no more room. So I need to get I thought that I bought these in a pack of 3, but maybe I gave away the other ones. They're so pretty and like it's so soft. But I need to get another notebook for my like tasks. Like I have a journal that I just use for morning pages. But this is really the journal that I've been using for my task completion and my weekly check-ins and any of that stuff. So I need another one of those. So the first task was called the Deadlies, and I think it's supposed to be like the 7 deadly sins. But you basically, I ripped up a piece of paper. It was actually last month's calendar that was in my recycles, but I folded it up and plucked one at a time, and then you write down 5 ways that that thing has had a negative impact on you. So let's just like grab one. This guy here says food, right? So then you'd write 5 things that negatively impacted you regarding food. And one of the words was drugs. And that was the one, of course, that I pulled. Also, these are all going back in. Like the whole point of the exercise is that you could get, if you have to pluck 7 times, you could get one of these words 7 times. The one I got 4 times was drugs. And, you know, the first time I got it, I was writing about how, like, it makes me feel less safe to walk about by myself, right? As somebody who does like to walk around and do things like that, you know, the presence of drugs makes me feel less safe. And, like, I think a lot of them were, like, around, the first time I pulled it, a lot of it was around, like, that, right? Like, personal safety is how it has negatively impacted me. The second time I pulled it, it was more so talking about how it negatively impacts me because it makes me use brain space to worry about other people, right? Other people using, other people that could be affected by others using, right? Like, the first one was, like, negatively impact my safety and my freedom. Second time I pulled it, it was, like, negatively impacting people I love, safety and freedom. And to be honest, by the third time I pulled it, I was no longer thinking about drugs in terms of, like, you know, crack and cocaine and meth and, like, hard drugs, which is for whatever reason where my brain went to first. And now all of a sudden I started thinking about it in terms of, like, weight loss drugs. And if you were on a weight loss drug and it works for you and you're doing it under the supervision of your doctor, I don't want this to come across wrong. However, I think there's a lot of people that are abusing weight loss drugs. And when I was writing down, like, how does it negatively impact me, like, one, it makes me feel like I look stupid for being fat, right? That sounds dumb, but, like, truthfully, like, it makes me, like, feel like, oh, there's this easy way out and you're not taking it. An easy way that is not cheap nor easy, right? Like, you know, I wrote down makes me look stupid for being fat as, like, a way that, like, weight loss drugs negatively impact me. And also I wrote down, lets people lose weight easily, but at what cost? Or that societally we are okay with thinness more than we are okay with not abusing substances, right? This whole video is gonna get flagged for this. Anyways, and by the last time I pulled it, I was like, I really don't know what else to say. I don't. And then I started to think about how does it negatively impact me? I think a lot of people are not saying the kinds of drugs that they are using or are on. And when you talk about comparison game, right? I am not going to be as efficient, effective, whatever, right, as somebody who is perhaps abusing some stimulants, right? It just means to me that I'm perhaps comparing myself to people that are, using or abusing or whatever you want to say, drugs in a way that I'm not. And it makes me feel like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not having these great ideas. Because in the short term, they are winning the race. But hypothetically, in the long term, they're ruining it. So that was really interesting. I was like, I hope I don't get drugs when I was writing the words down. But I pulled it 4 times. So that was an interesting experiment, right? I am not somebody who has ever, again, you don't know, right? I'm saying this as I'm somebody who, to my knowledge, has not really surrounded myself with people who are doing drugs, and maybe they are. I found out in my early 20s that people were doing drugs, that I was like, you're doing this and you're so casual about it? I don't know. That's so weird. But also it was just a weird experiment to be like, okay, how is this negatively impacting me? In a world where, I just don't think that I'm surrounding myself with people who are using and abusing, but maybe they are. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's how it's negatively impacting me, is that I don't know the people I'm surrounding myself with. I hope that they're not. It was very interesting for my brain to shift there at one point to weight loss drugs. If you can tell, I do have a little bit of a negative connotation with them. I'm trying to work on that because I hear that some people really, they have changed people's lives. They have impacted them in ways that they didn't even know about, right? It's not just the weight loss, it's other parts of their lives that have gone better. And in my logic brain, I know that these drugs have been tested and have been around for a little bit, but I am a little bit concerned about the widespread long-term use of them, because maybe in the short term it's working well, but what does that long-term use at the current dosage result in? And also, I know a lot of people that have perhaps abused that drug, weight loss drugs, in the current days, and have since gotten off of it and are still pretty sick and pretty not well since stopping. Anyways, I'm gonna go find a new journal and get back to my next task. Okay, it is now a little after 6 and I have done my task for the week. I'm so proud of me. It's Monday. The one that I was really procrastinating on because I think I was struggling with it so much, and it feels so important. Not to say that other things don't feel important, but it feels as though this should be something I'm taking with me, something that I am practicing every day, was the bottom lines, right? So the bottom lines are basically boundaries, and they want you to set 5 boundaries that you are going to set right now to get you out of your bad habits, right? And I think a lot of the examples for boundaries are work related. You're doing work instead of you're prioritizing work over everything else, right? So I'm going to share, I'm missing a 5th boundary. It's only Monday, everybody. I have 6 more days where I could figure out what that 5th boundary is going to be and keep growing from there. But I'm going to share my 4 in a moment of vulnerability, because I'm finding most people are taking this as introspective, but I would like a little bit of group project work. So perhaps we shall lead by example. I'm sorry if you're getting a little nauseous as my phone is jumping. Bottom line number 1, I will no longer propose work or accept work that is less than $1,000. Second boundary, the first thing I will consume in the day will be water. That's important. At least if I can get some water in the morning, at least I'll know I'll have had some for the day. 3, I will plan and prepare my artist date on Sunday for the following week, because otherwise I'm not planning them and then they don't happen, or they happen like after the fact, right? I always try to retroactively name my artist date, but I would like to plan and protect it. And if I set a date that I'm going to do that on Sundays, then that gives me, this is when you're going to plan that and prepare for it. My 4th one is I will start my day with my phone in focus mode, because again, I'm just spending too much time on this thing. And also my little bean needs some bathroom accessories, because their bathroom, I bought it, but it's currently empty. And then, like I said, I didn't make a 5th one. It's on my list to do, but for the time being, I am going to rearrange my list a little bit here. Originally, I was going to go fold clothes, but I'm actually quite hungry. So I'm going to go make dinner, unload the dishwasher, make dinner, and then after dinner, perhaps I will shower, because I do like folding clean clothes while I'm clean. I'm making myself a little bit of breakfast before I go for my walk. It's beautiful out there. I'm so excited to go outside and take a little walk. So breakfast first, then I'll meet you out there, okay? It's Wednesday, my dudes. I don't know. You just saw me in that last clip, and I feel like I was pretty excited and joyful, and I don't know. I crossed paths with someone on my way over to the walking trail, and I just feel like all of a sudden I started feeling very, very bad, both like emotionally, but also like got like nauseous, like felt like I was physically going to throw up. And I don't know, I've just not absorbed someone's energy quite like that in a long time. So I was like really excited to come out here and yap, and now I just feel like I'm trying to like get myself back into the like kind of like content. I don't want to say like I was like so excited or so thrilled or whatever, but I was in a really content frame of mind when I woke up this morning, and this whole week. Like I've been really doing well with my like bottom lines, right? Like some of my bottom lines were like drink water first thing in the morning, and I've been doing really good about that. I've been doing good about putting my phone in focus mode when I wake up. So I'm not scrolling as much in the morning. I even feel like I got a little like artsy in my morning pages this morning, and there's this like saying that like Julia says, and I feel like the community is kind of adapted to like take it to the page, and I'm feeling a little insecure. Go figure. I just watched my like 8.2 vlog, and I was like, wow, who would want to hire her? Deeply insecure. But I was feeling I was feeling this whole week like much more secure in myself and my skills and my ability, and I was taking my insecurities to the page, and I do feel like it was helping. So I don't know, that was just a very, very weird vibe. I'm trying to leave that vibe out here and not take it home with me. So I'm giving it to the woods, who are also like in a very weird space. There's so much destruction with the storm, and they've got to get resituated out here too, so they can't really absorb it. So maybe I'll give it to the pond, but I'm gonna keep walking, and maybe we'll talk again soon. Okay, I feel a little bit better. I would actually love to stay outside, and maybe I can come back out later, but for the moment I really need to get home and get showered and get on with my day. I had a client call for my day job on Monday, and I just want to follow up now that it's Wednesday to see if anything's changed for our event that is next Monday. It's actually like 3 events in one, but just see if anything's updated. And then we're actually giving away tickets to Mary Poppins this weekend. We did a giveaway on SCPA's pages, so I get to go home and pick those winners and make that post so we can let them know. And then I have other content to like situate and get together. And then tonight I have a shoot, so I just want to be ready for that, as well as get a few loads of laundry going and some dishes. Because Brad is working such long days, we are going through our good Tupperware very quickly, which we don't do a lot because we work from home, and like even when we're using it for leftovers, like you're not using it as much as when you are going to work for very long hours. So I just need to run the dishwasher because that's where I'm putting all my Tupperware. Except for the lids. I do like to wash those because I feel like they get funky in the dishwasher. This is neither here nor there. I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna get showered, and then we will get on with our day. Okay, take this down. So it is about 2 p.m. I have showered, I have done a little bit of laundry, I have edited a reel or two, I have edited graphics, I have commented and replied to comments and scheduled posts and picked our winner and all the things. But I do feel like I'm working kind of slowly, and I also feel like I am finding myself procrastinating, right? Like, I'm like, we'll put on our YouTube playlist, and then kind of like scrolling on YouTube or like going to reply to comments or share things to story, and then scrolling on Instagram. And I think I need to gaslight myself. Like, I keep like waking up in the morning and telling myself like, let's have a productive day, or let's like do all this stuff, and making my long list and whatever. And I'm not saying today has not been productive, because I think it has been pretty productive thus far, but I had a really, really productive Sunday. And I didn't wake up and say like, I'm gonna get all this stuff done, and like there was no pressure to get things done. Maybe that's what it is. Like, I feel so much pressure to like do things during the work week that maybe sometimes Sunday is like a better day because I don't feel pressured. And I know nobody's gonna like, not nobody, some people may email or whatever, but for the most part, most people are not gonna like ask me if I have a minute. Like, I don't feel like I'm on call on Sundays as much. So maybe that's it too. But also I feel like I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make posts for this week, right? And then all of a sudden I had done a month, and then I had started working in August, right? Like and then like it just kept happening like that, right? Like, okay, I'm just gonna edit 1 reel, and then like all of a sudden I had edited 7 reels and got them scheduled and got them going. So I think I'm just trying to like bite off everything instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna make this one post, this one email, this one whatever, and go forward. I need to stop trying to be like, I need to do all of this content in its entirety. So now that it's almost 2 o'clock, I'm gonna go move my laundry along and keep the laundry like churning, because that's very important, because we need clean clothes, especially when it's hot like this. I feel like we go through just so much clothing. You can't like rewear things as much. Like, you go outside and you basically have to like get changed every single time. Like, it just makes for a lot more laundry. So I need to do laundry. I also want to do some plannering, right? I want to like write down some of my things that I have next week in my planner, because I feel like I just saw some more stuff pop up and I don't want anything to fall through the cracks. And then I also really was hoping to stop by the grocery store before my shoot tonight, because I gotta be honest with everybody, I know people love meal prepping and they're like, what's the alternative? Making food every day. And I gotta tell you, I would prefer that, because I had leftovers for like the second day in a row. Like, I made them on Monday, and I had my leftovers yesterday, and I had more leftovers today. And like, while I was eating my leftovers today, I was like, this is gross. I can't be doing this. I believe in us. We can do it. We can do it all. I believe in us. Also, all of this to say, like, there's nothing that has to get done today that is not already complete. if that makes sense, right? Like everything I had to get done today is done. Should I absolutely get things done for my future self? Absolutely I should. But if I don't, it's not the end of the world. So if you need to move your laundry, you move it too, because I need to move mine. Okay, so it is a little after 5 p.m. For the last 3 hours, to be honest with you, I have been writing, which is crazy to say out loud. I don't even know where the time went. I got into such a flow. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. It was cathartic. But now I need to go grab something for dinner because, like I mentioned before, I have a shoot tonight and I cannot eat any more leftovers. So I think I'm gonna be bad and get Wendy's. Don't tell anybody. Because I did not leave myself enough time to cook anything. So gonna go get something to eat. Dinner has been had. I am going to get ready to go now. I'm sad because I kind of wanted to keep writing, but I need to make sure I have microphones and headphones and all the things in my bag. I also have this like pimple that is forming here that is just highly unfortunate. So I wanted to show you what I got in the mail when I got home. So if you don't know what Pizzamas is, this is going to be hard to explain in the few moments that I have. Pizzamas is a fundraiser that the Vlogbrothers do that's like based off of this very, very old lore and old joke. There's a whole lore guide, I'm sure, somewhere. But for Pizzamas, last year they did a pin subscription. So every month I get a pin in the style of John Green's mustachioed face of classic novels. So I'm almost done with the subscription because I think it started, I guess not almost, but I'm probably like halfway through the subscription because it started last November or something, beginning of this year. But anyways, so this is this month's. Look at it. John's moving mustache. It's so good. So good. They also come with book plates, and if I remember to show you those later, I will. They got a little crumpled, so I'm flattening them in a heavy book. So if I remember later, I will show you them. But I need to go make sure there's microphones and headphones and a mic jack in my camera bag. And then make my way downtown to SVPA. Okay, now that I can focus, let's take a minute. I feel like it's been a few days since we last spoke. So Wednesday night after Jagged Little Pill rehearsal, I went to bed. On Thursday, I went to the Mary Poppins dress rehearsal to get some footage and photos that we could use for marketing for this weekend. So this weekend is Mary Poppins Jr., which is where I'm about to head right now for their opening night. They had an opening show at 11 where they had a lot of camps come. So it was a really big success. The campers loved it. But I do want to be there for tonight to get the bows because I feel like this is the first like evening opening show. It's where a lot of parents are going to come. So I need to curl my eyelashes because I feel like they've kind of deflated. It's so humid out. And then I need to get ready to go over to the high school for that. Very fun thing. I feel like it's so funny because at the beginning of this week, I was so focused on like doing some writing prompts. I did a lot of writing at the beginning of this week. And then the last 2 days really have just been a whirlwind. And I know tomorrow's also going to be insane. We are going to surprise party and then there's another show tomorrow night. I don't think I'm going to go to that. But Brad is working tech for that. So he shall be there. And then Sunday is the final show and obviously breaking everything down and all that good stuff. So exhausting week. And I feel like I'm so behind on like dishes and laundry and I'm out of Tupperware. But, you know, it'll be crazy for a little bit longer and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of a reprieve and we'll have a good time. So I'm going to go get ready to go to Mary Poppins Jr. at Notre Dame and see some local community theater. I'm excited for it. Happy Saturday. It was funny because I was like literally putting my clothes on the line this morning and I was like, I have to text my mom and say we're probably not coming over today and da-da-da-da. And then I had the remembrance in my brain that it's actually not Sunday, it's Saturday. So After the show last night, they had a very successful opening. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen more folks in the audience as the marketing team for this. But it was a very younger audience, which is nice to see. Like, I feel like a lot of times when you go to community theater, you have like family and friends and things like that. But there seemed to be a lot of like teens that came of their own accord, or young people that came of their own accord. Maybe they knew somebody in the cast, but like it was not like wholly obvious that it was like family members. I'm mostly rambling now. This morning, Brad slept as long as he could, but I got up and I did some edits and I did some laundry and I did some dishes and just tried to like, this sounds very domestic. I've been like making the joke all week that I'm like playing trad wife. But it's mostly a joke. I've been working a lot, but I just did a lot of like both WC work and housework. I tried to do as much as I could. Then we went over to a surprise party. So when we were in college, we both studied for the communications department, the TV studio. And our boss, while we were there, really became a mentor and a friend to us. And somehow, some way, his daughter got our phone number. I think maybe texted me first asking if I was Brad. And I was like, no, this is Brad's number. And then blah, blah. She was like, oh, well, like, actually, I'm like reaching out to invite you guys to my dad's surprise party. So we went today for as long as we could, and it was so sweet to see his family, and he had no idea. And it was nice to chat with him a little bit and meet his brother, and his wife actually choreographed our first dance for our wedding. So it was nice to catch up with her. And what a sweet, sweet day. And we were saying on the car ride home, like, you know, I wish we could have stayed longer. We were the first ones to leave, unfortunately, which is quite unusual for me, if you know me, IRL. But we had to get back to get home so Brad could get over to the theater for the show tonight, which should be starting very soon. I did not go tonight because I don't have to be there. I'm not the theater manager. But did not go tonight so I could relax a little bit because it's been a very long week. And truthfully, now that I have kind of like chillaxed for like an hour and a half, I might do a little bit of work. I've also been working on the laundry, which is a real problem because once you get behind on laundry, it takes forever to get caught back up. So just moving loads. Other than that, been relaxing. What a boring vlog. I'm just like, and this is how, let me recount my day. I think I talked about this earlier this week, is that I was doing like a lot of writing at the beginning of this week that felt like very good and very cathartic. So I think, I just said I was going to work, but I don't think I am. I think I'm going to like open up my laptop and grab a lap desk and write a little bit. First things first is I'm going to move the clothes that are in the dryer out and move the clothes from the washer to the dryer, and then also perhaps put in some more clothes in the washer and start that. And maybe unload the dishwasher. This is where like I think I need to start gaslighting myself. Like this whole thing about like you think about wanting to be a playwright, and instead of thinking about like writing one page, you think about like the story and you need to build and the world you need to build, blah blah blah. Like, what if I just say I'm gonna take out a dish out of the dishwasher, and I'm like, oh well, you know, now that I've taken one out, I could take two out. I think that's how I have to trick myself into doing some household chores. But I'll keep you posted if I do some writing. Sunday. This guy right here has just been hanging out all week, but whatever. Happy Sunday. Happy last week of week 9. A little recap. So it was an insane week. When it's kind of, so to put this in terms for like other business owners, opening a show is even more stressful than doing a launch because there's just a lot more people involved. But it kind of like from a marketing perspective, it feels very similar, right? So it feels like a huge launch, right? Not like just like a quarterly launch, like an insanely big launch that is limited time, so limited that for this instance, it was only one weekend. And And then imagine your client does 2 launches back to back. So they opened and closed Mary Poppins this weekend. They open Jagged Little Pill and then run that for 2 weeks. So we are not quite out of it yet. So we are prepping for our next launch as we are, doing our last push for Mary Poppins Jr. But with that being said, I really did have the beginning of the week to sit in the challenges and do a lot of just like free writing or prompted writing, in a way that I think, made me feel good. I'm feeling very wrinkly. I feel like my age is really showing right now. My age, I say, as a 30-year-old. But anyways, now if you recall, I made some promises to myself at the beginning of this week, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I failed on a lot of them. Beginning of week, it was much easier to do when I had more time in the morning. And I think like the conclusion that we're coming to here with The Artist's Way is that like in order to live the life I want, I need to be able to have slow mornings, and not slow in the fact that like I'm not getting up and doing things, but like in the fact that like I don't have somewhere to be the second I wake up from my alarm. Okay, so I mixed up the bottom lines and the promises. So my promises to myself were I promised to continue doing morning pages even after The Artist's Way is gone. I promised to treat myself as a precious object. And I promised to find ways to prioritize creativity and joy. And I think those practices and promises are going to take longer. But let's talk about my bottom lines, because that's actually what I meant to say. So my bottom lines were I will no longer accept work or pitch work that is less than $1,000. I'm actually getting ready to send over a proposal for a very large job tomorrow. So fingers crossed for us. Let's do it. My second bottom line was I will consume water first in the day. And I did really well with this for a few days. And then I will say the last couple days I have not been consuming water first. I have been going straight for the tea. So we will get better at that. I will plan and prepare my artist day on Sunday for the following week. So that is my challenge, my task for today is to figure out when and where I'm going to do my artist date this week and plan it for myself. And then 4 is I will start my day with my phone in focus mode. And again, beginning of the week, I did really good with this. Today, and it's Sunday, I feel like maybe I'll adjust that bottom line that like I will start every weekday in focus mode. This morning I scrolled and read news and did a lot of things on my phone first thing in the morning for like probably a few hours while staying in bed. So I don't necessarily regret that, but it is something I'm going to work on to stop doing that. The other challenge for myself this week was to do one lovely thing for myself per day. And I kind of like wrote my little tracker here. And I don't know what I did yesterday that was like my lovely thing for myself. Maybe it was doing laundry. Maybe it was like doing and putting away laundry. Like that sounds so silly, but like it was a lovely thing to be able to put all that laundry away and get it into a drawer and out of a basket. And today is only half done. So I have to figure out what the lovely thing I will do for today is. And maybe my lovely thing will just be planning my artist date, because that sounds very lovely. I don't know how good the vlog was this week. I feel like there was something I wanted to talk about in the vlog, a little bit more like meaningful than like just recounting my days. But I cannot remember it now. So maybe that means it's time for us to end week 9's vlog. I'm about to kind of do a little bit of reading for week 10 to get ahead of it, because my day tomorrow is kind of insane. But I think the thing I wanted to talk about is that I'm really working on my workshop for the Marketer's Edit. If you didn't know, I'm speaking in New York in November 7th and 8th, I think is the date of the retreat. November 7th, I will be in New York for the Marketer's Edit, which is an event that is really, really targeting people who have started their business. They've had some success, but they're looking to scale, grow, or looking for what the next step is. And I, on a whim, applied to be a speaker and I got accepted. My topic is about using community and relationships to build better, stronger, sustainable businesses. And I feel like the last week I really struggled with some like imposter syndrome, but I am hoping I can get a little bit of brainstorming thoughts, writing done out here today about the workshop to really start to finalize what that looks like. And it's just been very interesting. I think most people have content strategies, marketing strategies, sales strategies even maybe, and I think most of these business owners even have a CRM. But what is their like relationship strategy? How are you tapping into communities or relationships to continue to grow business? Because you can ask any business owner, like any business owner I talk to, like they're like, nothing is more powerful than word of mouth. And I think that is going to remain true and even become more true, even firmer in the truth, if you want to put it that way, because we're in such a trust recession, as people keep saying. I hate all these buzzwords, but whatever. But that's how we all communicate. That's how culture is formed. But we are really in a place where people don't know who they trust, and people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And they may feel like they know you, they may feel like you, but like how are you building that trust? And that trust is built through relationships and through community and through reputation. And how do you strategically grow that? Because I think right now people treat word of mouth as if it's just like, oh, this just happens, right? Like, and I think it does, and then we forget about it. And this is truthfully the strongest marketing tactic there is. So how do we make some strategic decisions about it and not just treat it as like, oh, well, if people like me, they're going to share my business or they're going to do things. Like, how do we actually like take action on that and capitalize on it? And this all sounds very stupid saying it out loud, but I feel like in my head it makes sense. And also, you know me, I have an alternative motive. I want everybody to get involved in their communities and sustain and build some community-related habits. But this is about marketers and building your business. So, thanks for joining me for week 9. I will see you next week when we, I think week 10. No, was I on week 10? What week is it? Guys, why did nobody correct me? I was on week 10 this whole week. This has been week 10, and I'm going to start reading week 11 right now, which is Sense of Autonomy. So, I will see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your day.